So first we should know about what is the meaning of servo motor. Then after what are the features of the servo motors. Then after what are the differences between servo motor and motor. Then next what are the classification of the servo motor. These are all the today's agenda. The first one is servo motor is nothing but the motors that are used in automatic control system is called as servo motors. The motors that are used in automatic control system is called as servo motors. And here automatic control, we know that definition of the control system is nothing but one object. It will form by arranging the elements in proper way. In order to control the system, in order to maintain the system, some control technique is required to regulate or to direct or to command. That is called as control system. Now it's automatic. So automatic means without manual, it can done by their own, by taking some feedback. So automatic means simply by taking some feedback, it can be controlled by automatic. In order to done that, we'll use some motors which are called as servo motors. So in order to control the one system with the automatic manner by using some machines, that machines are called as servo motors. The best example is these servo motors are used in solar tracker. Very important application. These servo motors are used in solar tracker. So I think so, you know, or I don't know, you know or not, I don't know. There are two types of solar plants. One is fixed solar plant, fixed solar plant. One is solar tracker. So fixed solar plant means the solar plate, let us say this is the solar plate, which is placed towards the direction of the sun. That means the sunlight will fall on the solar panel. In order to fall the sunlight from the solar sun, the panel will be arranged like this. Whereas in case of solar tracker, the solar panel moving with the direction of the sun. Basically, the sun will be moving from east to west. The sun will be rises in east and the sunset will be in west. So when the sun will be moving from east to west, along with the direction of the sun, the solar panel will be moving. That can be called as solar tracker. How that can be achieved is with the help of the servo motors. I hope you got my points. So in the solar, once again I'm repeating, in solar tracker, along with the direction of the sun, the solar panel will be moving. So that can be done automatically with the help of the servo motors. That is the best example of the servo motor which is in solar tracker. Now why they are going for solar tracker is, in the solar tracker it will give maximum efficiency than the fixed solar plant. In the fixed, the solar panel cannot move, it can be fixed. At only one time at around 11 to 12 in between 11 to 12 only we get maximum efficiency. But if you go for the solar tracker, you will get maximum efficiency entire the day, because always the sunlight and the solar panel both will be perpendicular to each other. But in case of fixed solar plant, only one timing it should be perpendicular, the remaining time will be some angle. So if the perpendicular angle will maintain entire the day, will get maximum efficiency. In order to achieve that, we can use the solar tracker. That solar tracker can work with the help of the servo motors. That is the best example for the servo motors. So this is the thing I need to explain the definition of the servo motor. The next point is the main objective of this servo motor is The main objective of this servo motors is to control the position of the object. Then the system is called as servo mechanism. Let me explain this one. So here, control the position. So position means it will change from one place to the another place. Suppose if you go for the solar tracker, just okay, just I'm going to turn on my video. Just pin my video, you will get some clarity. Okay, so here my mobile is, if you look at my mobile is a solar panel. So basically the solar panel will place like this. So I am assume somewhere else some light. So here is assume here, let me consider, yeah, this is my sun. My position of this blue color is my sun. So the plate will be fixed like this for this fixed solar plant. Whereas in case of solar tracker, if the sun is moving like this, the panel is also moving like this. So obviously at any instant of the time, the panel and sun will maintain 90 degrees perpendicular. So here it will be used to control the position. So initially the solar panel position is like this. When the sun is moving, the panel is also moving according to the sun's direction. So obviously the position of the panel will be changes. So initially during the morning session, the panel will be like this. During the evening session, the panel will be like this. Again, night times. During the night times, again it will be come to the original position, because again the next day morning sun will be rises in the east, so that the panel should be towards the east. So that can be done with the help of the servo motors. So that is the main example and main real-time application of the servo motors, where the servo motors can be used. That is a real-time application. Then next we'll move to the slides. So that's why here I'm written servo motors are control the position of the object. That means which is moving from one place to the another place. Nothing but position can be changes. Is called as the servo mechanism. Now the next point is, what are the inputs of the servo motors? What are the outputs of the servo motor? So for this input, for the servo motor, the input is electrical signal. Whereas in case of output is angular displacement. For all the servo motors, the input is electrical signal and output is angular displacement. And in some textbooks, it may written as the servo motors are converting from electrical signal into angular displacement. It is converting from electrical signal into, that means within brace I can write input electrical signal into angular. So here it is also converting from electrical signal into angular displacement. Electrical signal is either voltage or current, both are electrical signal, and angular displacement is theta. Sometimes it may be written as, it may be considered as angular velocity also, that is omega. Theta or omega, here voltage or current. So this is the basic introduction about the servo motors. So I am explaining 3 points. One is definition of the servo motor, and what is the best example for servo motor, solar tracker. The main objective of this servo motor is to control the position of the object. And what is the next one is, what are the features? What are the features of servo motors? So these things will be asking for short questions only. It is not essay question, just short questions. The features in the first point is, it is having linear relationship. linear relationship between input and output. So already we know that what is the input of servo motor, what is the output of servo motor. For those things, for those between the relationship between for those two, it's a linear relationship. So linear means it is starts from origin. It is a straight line. It is a straight line which is passing from the origin. That is called as linear. So here is the input. That input is electrical signal. So here I'm writing clearly that input is electrical signal. Whereas in case of output, that is angular displacement. Angular displacement. That is angular displacement. So that is the first feature. And the second feature is it will give steady state stability. Steady state stability. So as of now, we know that only stability. Stability means if any system satisfies the Biot principle, that is called as stability. If not, unstable. So what is the steady state? Steady state means after died out of the transients, that will become steady state. Or after vanishing the transient state, that will become steady state. So transient means sudden changes. It will not be constant. It will be changes from time to time, which is called as transient. Steady state means even though time changes, it will be same. That is called as steady state. So in order to achieve the steady state stability, we'll have a lot of techniques like root locus and RH criteria. Those things will be discussed in the second chapter. Just I'm saying that feature of the servo motor only. Next, third point is wide range of speed control. Wide range of speed control. So wide range means it's a large ranges. So narrow means small. So it may be control the speed of servo motors can be controlled in a wide range. That is one of the feature. Then one more thing is fast response. So it will give fast response or quicker response. Whenever giving input, the output will be getting in very short span of time. That is called as fast response. Then low mechanical and electrical inertia. Low mechanical and electrical inertia. This is also one of the feature. So what is a low mechanical inertia? Means moment of inertia, because if you go for mechanical translation system, we'll get moment of inertia J. It should be low. That means weight of that system should be low. So this is the things features of the servo motors. Now basically next one is classification of servo motors. Classification of servo motors. So these servo motors are classified into two types according to the supply. So here I'm writing according to the supply. So we have AC supply and DC supply. According to supply, we have two types. One is AC, other one is the DC. So according to the supply, the servo motors are classified into two types. One is DC servo motors, and one more thing is AC servo motors. AC servo motors. And the DC servo motors are more expensive. More expensive. These are all less expensive. These are all less expensive. And the DC motors are having linear characteristics. Whereas in case of AC motors, AC servo motors are having non-linear characteristics. So even though the AC servo motors are less expensive, but the drawback of these AC servo motors is non-linear characteristics. These non-linear characteristics are not suitable for any applications. That's why these AC servo motors can be used rarely or less effort. Whereas in case of DC servo motors, even though they are in more expensive, their characteristics should be linear. That's why these can be used frequently. There's some small differences between DC servo motors as well as the AC servo motors. AC servo motor. So these are all the things regarding servo motors. And the first slide is completely regarding definition of the servo motor and definition of the servo mechanism. What is the input and outputs? I gave one real-time example, that is solar tracker. How the servo motors are used for solar tracker. See, in the solar tracker, with the help of the servo motors only, the panel is moving from east to west during the daytime. During the night time, again the same panel will be moving from west to east. That can be done automatically by taking the feedback. What feedback they are taken? Sunlight. During the morning session, it will take the feedback from the sun. During the night sessions, it will take the feedback from the moon. Based on that, it will be moving automatically. That's why it is called as servo motors. Okay, so these are things, and here in this slide I explained features. What are the features? Means benefits of the servo motors. Specifications, nothing but features means specifications or benefits or some advantages of that. Then classification of servo motors, there are two types, and DC servo motors as well as the AC servo motors. Now let us give the small differences between servo motors and normal motors. Let us give small difference between servo motors and normal motors. So one thing is, whereas in case of normal motors, it should be controlled by manually. That is the major difference, is it should be controlled by manually. Whereas in case of servo motors, it can be controlled by automatic. That is the basic difference between servo motors and normal motors. So let me write here the differences here. Whereas in case of motors, it can be controlled by manually. Whereas in case of servo motors, it can be controlled by automatically. What it controls? Speed can be controlled, because the motor, for the motor, the speed is going to be controlled. There is no other parameter to control, only speed is going to be controlled. So it can be controlled by automatically. How automatically controlled? By taking feedback. That is very, very important. Automatically means without getting any signal, it can't be controlled. So that by taking feedback, it can control automatically. By taking feedback, it can be controlled automatically. This is the difference between normal motors as well as the servo motors. And according construction point of view, there is no difference between the normal motors and servo motors. And whereas in case of servo motors, it can be used small range of applications. It can be used small range of applications. Whereas in case of motors, it can be used high power applications or large power applications. That is also one of the difference between motors as well as the servo motors. So for the servo motors, it can be used small range power applications, whereas in case of motors, it can be used high power applications or large power applications. So these two are related to the servo. These two slides are related to the. Now we'll start the derivations. Transfer function of DC servo motors. The only theory I explained only 2 slides. Again, we'll move to some 10-15 slides are derivations only completely. So transfer function of DC servo motors. So here, basically, we know that whether it is servo motor or motor, only we have small differences between servo motor and motor. One is size point of view. Motors are high size, large size, and servo motors are less size. Then one more point is servo motors are automatic control and normal motors are manual control. And construction point of view, both will be same. These are also some differences. Now, if you go for motor or servo motor, the input is electrical, output is mechanical. So for the electrical, we are going to give the input is voltage. For mechanical, we are going to get output is theta. That is angular displacement or angular velocity. We can consider output is theta or omega. That is depends on situation. We can consider theta or omega. Now coming to the motors, basically in the motors, the controlled parameter is only speed. Controlled quantity. What is the controlled quantity? Speed is going to be controlled. Speed is going to be controlled. So how many speed control techniques of DC motors? So whatever the speed control techniques of DC motors employed, the same speed control techniques are employed for DC servo motors. So the construction, principle of operation and working principle, everything is same as the motor except some advantages like automatic control, size is less, cost is less. Okay, those except those main advantages, everything will be same as the motors only. So for the DC motors or DC servo, whatever the DC motors, we have 2 types of speed controls. One is armature control armature control, and one more is flux control or field control. Flux or field control. So this armature control is used to get below rated speeds. So if you want to run the machine below rated speeds, you will use armature control. If you want to run the machine above rated speeds, you will use field control method. Suppose, for example, if your machine rated speed is 1500, if you want to run the machine 1300 RPM, then you will use armature control. If you want to run the machine 1700 RPM, then you can run field control. So depends upon the requirement of the speed, we can run the machine either in armature control or field control. So before moving to the transfer function of this servo motor, let us know about what is armature control, what is field control. We'll see these two things first. Then after we'll go for the derivations. So armature control and field control. So can anyone explain armature control, how to control the speed of motor in armature control? How to control the speed of a motor by using armature control method? Okay, so in armature control, the first and foremost thing is field current will be kept as a constant. This is very precaution. Field current is kept constant. Field current is kept as constant and varying the armature resistance. So in armature control, how we are going to control the speed is field current is kept as a constant, and by varying the armature resistance, we can control the speeds. Whereas in case of field control, armature voltage is kept as a constant. Armature voltage is kept constant. And field current is vary. Field current is varying. Right. So this is the difference between armature control and field control. Now let us explain in expressions, because this is a theory point. So with the help of theory, no one will satisfy how it is going to be controlled, how it is going to be less speed. I said that this is below rated speeds. Armature control is below rated speeds and field control is above rated speeds. That means it will be run more than the rated speed. It will run less than the rated speed. So by taking the writing points, we can say, but in practically, with the help of expressions, how we are going to get armature control, how we are going to get field control, let me explain right now. So in armature control, the speed is proportional to the back EMF and speed is inversely proportional to the flux. Speed is inversely proportional to the flux. There are two cases. Speed is proportional to the back EMF and speed is inversely proportional to the flux. How can I write this expression is, we know that EB equals to pi Zn by 60 into P by A. From this expression only I am going to write. Because this P is nothing but number of poles. It is constant. While manufacturing of the machine, the poles can be designed either 4-pole machine or 6-pole machine or 8-pole machine. The A is nothing but parallel paths. Z is nothing but armature conductors. 60 is the constant. Finally, you will get EB equals to pi into N. So from this, I can write N equals to EB by pi. And some see here some value constant K. Here are some, because where K equals to these things. So what is the K? This pi value and a N value, this everything is K. Sorry, this thing will be K. Except these two, the remaining will be K. So if you remove the proportionality, N is proportional to the EB by pi. So based on this, I can write two equations. N is proportional to EB, N is proportional to the 1 by pi. So this is related to the field control. FC I am written. This is related to the armature control. How it is, I will explain. So here N is proportional to the EB. So N is, instead of EB, I can write VA minus IARA. VA minus IARA. This is the equation. Now let us take some examples. VA equals to 200. IA equals to 10 amps and RA equals to 0.1 ohm. Let us take initially 0.1 ohm I am taking. So if we substitute all the values, we'll get N is proportional to the VA 200 minus IA is 10, RA is 0.1. We'll get 190. This is the back EMF. N is equals to 190 volts. Okay, N90. So here, if the this is proportional, right? Proportional means if it is decreased, this is the one value. Now, my question is, I am not talking about any field parameters here. That's why field will be constant. I'm talking about the armature. Armature resistance will be increased. Now I'm going to increase armature resistance is 0.3. Initially 0.1 I took. Now I'm increasing the 0.3. If I increase the 0.3, what is the EB equation? VA minus IARA. VA equals to 200. IA is 10. RA is 0.3. Then we'll get 170. So previously it was 190. EB is 190. Now its EB is 170. So therefore, my conclusion is by adding resistance or by adding armature resistance, the back EMF will be reduced, due to which the speed is reduced. That's why it is called as below rated speeds or armature control. So whatever Sandeep explained, he is explained this analysis. This is also good answer. This is practical analysis. He is explained practical analysis. But whatever I explained, this is the theoretical. Field current is kept as constant. By varying the armature resistance, we'll get the speed. But in the practical, this is the thing. This is the proof for the armature control. So by my conclusion of this armature control is by adding armature resistance to the system, the back EMF will be reduced. Already I proved previously 190, now it's 170. If you increase 0.5, obviously it will go for 150. So if the adding resistance, the back EMF is reduced, ultimately the speed is reduced. Now coming to the field control. If you go for the field control, it's a flux. Flux is nothing but currents. So flux is always proportional to the field current. Proportional to the field current. So here, how we are going to get the field currents? So if the changing the field current, the flux will be changed. So field current, how we are going to field current? By decreasing the resistance. By decreasing the field resistance or by increasing the field resistance. So if you go for the speed control of DC motors in the practical experiments, the motor field rheostat is in minimum position. Motor field rheostat is in minimum position. Why they are keeping minimum position? Is to maintain the minimum speeds. Remember my points. Why the motor field rheostat is in minimum position is in order to maintain the minimum speed. If it is in the maximum resistance, the motor will run dangerous speeds. How it will run dangerous speed? Let me show you the proof. So here the flux is proportional to the field current, and field current is equals to VF by RF. VF by RF, field resistance and field voltage. Suppose if RF value will be less value, minimum value, the field current is high. If the field current is high, the flux is high. If the flux is high, the speed will be reduced. The speed will be reduced. So in order to maintain or in order to get minimum speeds, the field rheostat should be minimum. If suppose the field rheostat is maximum, I will use some other color pen. If suppose this field rheostat is in maximum, obviously the current will be minimum. If the field current is minimum, the flux will be minimum. If the flux will be minimum, the speed will be high. So ultimately, by adding the resistance, the speed is going to be increased. So here in this field control method, by adding field resistance, or not armature resistance, by adding field resistance, the speed can be increased. By adding field resistance, the speed can be increased. Whereas in case of armature control method, by adding armature resistance, the speed will be decreased. So here armature resistance increases, the speed will be reduced. But here armature field resistance will be increased, then speed will be increases. That's why it is called as field control method. This is called as armature control method. So by taking these two methods, we need to derive the transfer functions. Okay, any doubts, all of you? This is not our subject, it's a machine subject.
No, sir.
The situation will come, that's why I explained. Any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir. No,
Is
sir.
it clear, armature control and field control?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Sure.
So remember, while performing our machines lab experiment, always the motor field rheostat will be kept as a minimum position because to maintain the minimum speed at starting condition. If the field rheostat is unfortunately or mistakenly, wrongly, you kept as a high maximum position, obviously the machine will run dangerous speeds. Sometimes the machine will be come out from the plinth also. That is one of the drawback while keeping the field rheostat is maximum. So that's why always the motor field rheostat is in minimum position, whereas in case of generator, it will be maximum.